Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for the morning show with yours truly, Dex the Algo Capitalist, brought to you by the Algo Capitalist Society. I hope you all had a wonderful, wonderful weekend because the holiday weekend's over and now it's time for back to work. Let's jump into these overnight markets and see what kind of work is being done there. Well, the US dollar index is down 47 pips this morning, trading at 103.82. It has fallen out of the 104 handle. Looking at the euro this morning, it is up 56 pips at 108.46. We have the pound sterling up 53 pips at 126.61. And we have the Aussie up 41 pips at 65.80. The Bitcoin futures are up 270 this morning at 52,295. Ethereum futures up 167 at 2964. Crude oil futures are down 36 cents per barrel, trading at $78.08 a barrel. It did go as high as $78.58 per barrel, and it even dropped down to $77.37 per barrel in the overnight market. So a lot of volatility going on there. And we have nat gas off 3 pennies at 157. Overnight low was 150. I did tell you that 150 was the downside target when it broke below, even before it broke below the $2 range. And here we are hitting it. Now we have gold up $16.10 an ounce, trading at $2,040.20 per ounce, right near the morning high of 2042.50. Silver futures, however, are going in the opposite direction. They're down 31 cents an ounce, trading at $23.16 per ounce. It did dip briefly below $23 this morning, though. You got to understand that. We had $22.98. All right, before topping out at $23.50. So some volatility also alive and well in silver. Looking at the copper right now is about flat at $3.83. Dow futures down 9 this morning at 38,688, and that's bouncing off the overnight low of 38,524. And it did hit a high of 38,746. So a little bit of volatility creeping in there too. Got a little over 200-point trading range there in your Dow. And the E-mini S&P 500, it's down 19 and 3/4 points at 5,000 even. It did dip to 4,994 and a quarter. We have the E-mini Nasdaq 100 futures down 98 and a quarter points at 17,642 and a quarter. It did hit down to 17,613 and 3/4 in the overnight low. And it did top out at 17,807 and a quarter. So volatility is starting to creep into the markets. Russell Mile Hustle down 25 and a half points at 2,013.40. And that's right hovering over the overnight low print of 2010. And it did get as high as 2044.90. So again, volatility starting to creep in to the markets. We have grain futures, soybeans up 13 cents a bushel, trading at $11.86 a bushel. Corn is up 3 pennies, trading at $4.20 a bushel. And wheat up 8 cents per bushel, trading at $5.68 per bushel. All right, so Capital One is set to snap up Discover Financial in a deal worth more than $35 billion. Meet the 58 Black investors looking to back unrepresented startup founders and a suggestion for a new way to lay people off. But first, the scary market proposition. Cuts are canceled. Don't count your chickens before they hatch, and don't price in your rate cuts before they materialize. When will the Federal Reserve cut rates this year? Has been the prevailing question for months as investors and companies seek relief from the central bank's 23-month war on inflation. Before we go any further, this is take the opportunity to put in your requests or questions that you may have, so that when we get to our chart segment, we can knock those out for you. So mixed economic data coupled with a stock market that just won't quit has brought whispers of a scarier question. Will the Fed cut rates this year at all? Remember, I've been saying this for the last 2 weeks now. I believe that the situation is primed for a emergency rate cut in between meetings before the March meeting. All right. And all it takes is for a big down day in the market. And I think the Fed will be spooked and he will cave to the rate cut. It's a shocking potential turnaround, but last December, Fed Chair Jerome Powell signaled that 3 cuts were on the table for 2024, which he reiterated earlier this month. But some market experts say cutting rates this year is essentially optional. Investors have already had to adjust their expectations in 2024. Now there's just a 10% chance that the central bank slashes borrowing cost in March, according to CME's FedWatch tool, down from 77% earlier this year. Now, as surprising as it would be for the Fed to skip cuts this year, it wouldn't be a disaster for everyone. Broadly speaking, large stocks should be all right, according to some experts. After all, big tech companies' year plus efficiency kick has made them a lot less vulnerable to high rates. Bonds could struggle, however, with further delays on rate cuts, raising the risk that debt markets suffer another meltdown like they did last fall. The area with the most to lose is real estate. The residential market needs some rate relief to help spur sales after a quiet 2023, but the commercial sector holds the most risk. The market has quickly devolved into a dumpster fire with $2.1 trillion of debt tied to commercial real estate assets set to come due by the end of 2025. It remains to be seen how contagious failures in that sector would be to other industries. Regional banks have plenty of exposure, as demonstrated by NYCB's struggles earlier this year. But bigger lenders are fairly well capitalized in case defaults ramp up. So while rates staying higher for longer isn't the ideal scenario, it also wouldn't be a death knell for financial markets per se. What would prove disastrous, though, is a rate hike. The chances are slim, according to a senior economist at JP Morgan Private Bank, puts the odds at just 15% or less, but it's not entirely out of the question. 2 of the U.S. largest credit card issuers are merging. Capital One is buying Discover Financial for just over $35 billion in an all-stock deal. The 2 companies said this on Monday. The transaction is expected to close in late 2024 or early 2025. How did we get there? 4 years after the pandemic crashed financial markets and drove inflation to 4-decade highs, the U.S. economy is going from strength to strength, even as peers like the UK and Japan slip into recession. Nobody's quite sure what comes next. Sell NVIDIA. That's the advice of ARK's Cathie Wood, who believes the chipmaker stock has become overvalued. NVIDIA shares have already surged nearly 50% year to date, powering it past Alphabet and Amazon to become the U.S.'s 3rd most valuable listed company. These Black venture capitalists are changing the VC industry. Diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives have been heavily scrutinized recently, including in the business world. But Black VCs who specifically back startup founders of color remain undeterred. The race to address the AI chip shortage is on. SoftBank CEO Masayoshi Son is reportedly trying to raise $100 billion to finance a chip production venture amid a frenzied scramble for supply across the tech sector. Google just upped the ante in the AI war. Google is developing a new large language model that hopes to challenge OpenAI's GPT-4, called Gemini 1.5. The tool can process more than one type of data, including images, audio, and video. It also underwent enhanced safety testing. There's a better way to handle layoffs. While some job cuts are unavoidable, that doesn't mean companies have to be cruel about them. Layoffs may seem like a way to boost the bottom line, but they can wind up being bad for business. Russia's wartime economy still looks resilient. Subsides and government spending projects have kept growth afloat. In the 2 years since Vladimir Putin invaded Ukraine, while Moscow is still bringing in revenue through its oil exports, but economists warn Russia could become addicted to military spending if the conflict drags on much longer, much like the U.S. is addicted to military spending. Notice how the talking heads are once again talking about cutting entitlements, but you never hear them talk about cutting military spending or cutting defense budgets or cutting budgets to NASA or any other pet project or government agency. It's always entitlements. They always say the poor have too much and need to have a little bit less. Like entitlements is so overburdensome to the government that unless they stop them altogether, the financial situation in America will collapse utterly. And it's funny that while they say that, they still send tens of billions of dollars overseas to other countries like Israel and the Ukraine. If they're so strapped for cash, where are they getting these tens of billions of dollars from to send overseas? You can't have it both ways. You can't say, oh, entitlements are crushing us, we can't sustain it, but you're sending tens of billions, if not hundreds of billions of dollars overseas. So the military spending is more important than entitlement spending. So you're saying it's more important to spend money on bombs and bullets than it is for food, clothing, and shelter for your nation's working poor. Really? That's the problem with America. It's corruption, and that's why it's collapsing. And this will continue to be an issue for this country. Because in America, the rich hateth the poor. So much so that they passed laws to make it even harder to be poor. For one, it's more expensive to be poor than it is to be a person of means in the United States. And that's all the way around. Poor people pay more. They pay higher interest rates. They pay more for goods and services. The price of everything in the hood is more expensive than the price of anything in the suburbs. And that's the way it is. They pay higher interest rates, they pay more for goods and services and food and everything else. Even insurance, they pay more for insurance. That's right. If you live in a nice gated community, likely, chances are, your insurance is going to be a lot less than a poor person living in the ghetto. That's right. You can insure your $10 million mansion for less than a poor person can insure anything living in the hood. It's really sad, but that's the way it is. So now the next question is, what about Russia's wartime economy that still looks resilient? Right? They have subsidies and government spending too, but they're not in the same boat financially as the U.S. when it comes to military spending. The U.S. has the highest military spending budget in the world. The U.S. spends more on military than any other country. The U.S. spends more money on the prison industrial complex than all other nations combined. The U.S. has more people locked up than all other nations combined. The U.S. has more violent crime than all other nations combined. There's only one exception, and that's over in Europe, especially in the UK, where they have the highest rate of knifings in the world because guns are illegal. Yeah, these are facts. All right, these are facts. The lab grown diamond boom is over. Prices for man made gems are likely to tumble this year. Lower price retailers like Walmart and Pandora have started aggressively pushing lab grown stones, creating glut in supply. And that's because no one wants a lab grown stone. They don't want it. Supply and demand. People tell you what they want. They vote with their feet and they vote with their wallet. And they're telling you, we don't want it. We don't want your cubic zirconiums. All right. We don't want it. We don't want it. And that's why you have this glut. Who told you that people will want that anyway? Look, common sense, folks. You know the U.S. is collapsing. It's collapsing morally, economically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically, infrastructure. I mean, you name it. All right. Why would you want the first thing to be you flossing on social media or out in public any shred of wealth, whether it be real or otherwise? Why would you want to do that and make yourself a target? Why would you want to do that? If you were smart, you would sell your Beamer and your Mercedes and buy a regular car like a Toyota or something, and you drive around in that. You lock up your Rolex watch and wear a regular Timex piece. You would take off your Brooks Brothers suit and you would walk around in ripped jeans and a t-shirt. That's if you were smart. That's how you would get around. But because America has become so narcissistic and sociopathic and psychotic, it's all look at me, look at me. Look how attractive I am. Look how rich I am. And nah, you're not. Not thinking that this could have some unwanted backlash. Like people running up in your crib in broad daylight with Uzis and machetes saying, run it. Run what? Run everything. Open the safe. We want the jewels. We want the watches. We even want your clothes. Run that Birkin bag. Run that Chanel. Run it all. That's what you want, right? All right. Keep doing what you're doing, and you're going to get what you get. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. In Navalny's last letters, the Russian dissent called Trump's agenda for a second term really scary. Of course, because it goes against what you want. See, Vladimir Putin wants Biden to win. Even our president is a foreshadowing or a type of the U.S. because they represent the U.S. You have an old, decrepit man who is falling apart as your president. And I don't mean that in a derogatory sense. He is an elder. We're supposed to respect our elders. He's an old man who's growing senile. He may even have Alzheimer's. I don't know. But he does have some mental faculty issues. All right. So when I say old and decrepit, I don't mean that in a negative sense. I'm just saying it's factual. He's not in good health. Trump is a lot younger than him. Well, not a lot younger, but he's younger than him, and he doesn't have the mental decay to the level that Biden has it. But he's also up in age, so eventually he may start having some issues. But that's what you get when the average age of the U.S. president was it like 70 or 80 years old? It's like the average age. I mean, come on. Fortune 500 companies don't even let employees work to that age. You're not going to see no 80-year-old executive in a company. They get them up out of there before they can even qualify for retirement or pensions. You ever seen a CEO that old? The only exception that I can think of is Berkshire Hathaway, with Warren and his buddy, the one that just passed away, Munger. They're the exception. They started an incredible company, and you know their shareholders are happy. I don't see any other examples like that. Do you see any super old CEOs like that in their 80s? No. Do you see any CEOs that have clear signs of mental faculty meltdown? No, you do not, because the shareholders would never allow it. They would say, get him up out of here, let him retire. Here's a nice little golden parachute for you. Here's a nice little severance package. Yeah, you get to keep all your stocks and shares and all that stuff, even your options. You get to keep those. Here's a little bonus for you too. Thank you for all the hard work you've done, and send him out to pasture, or send her out to pasture. You're not going to see that. You just aren't. But as far as president, you could be old as Methuselah and be president. And that's not a good look. It's not a good look. If you put Biden and Vladimir Putin in a ring together, it would be chaos. There's no
It would also be the
way.
greatest pay-per-view of all time. Okay,
Yes,
I'll
it
buy it.
would. Because you already know the outcome. It'll be like a
I
pit
still want to see it.
bull battling a chihuahua. You already know what the end result is.
That's what you think. Then all of a sudden, this terrifying demon starts sniffing that Russian dude, and things get real weird.
And speaking of health, here's a question for you. Why are young men starve maxing to look like they're chiseled masculine idols? I tell you, this culture has become so obsessed with looks. If you're waiting to buy an affordable home when rates drop, you're out of luck, unfortunately. And we discussed this before. As bond prices head higher, interest rates head lower. It's an inverse relationship. Well, now that bond prices are starting to fall back down again, interest rates have no place to go but up. A crypto influencer has posted what she says is the first photo of Sam Bankman-Fried hanging out with his fellow inmates. And the Russian pilot who defected to Ukraine with the M8 helicopter was shot and made unalive in Spain. Mr. Beast is asking for trouble by calling his employees friends of friends instead of giving them job titles. And college football teams are dropping millions on state-of-the-art locker rooms. And in today, we have Walmart and Home Depot earnings, to name a few. And former President Donald Trump is participating in a Fox town hall. All right, so that's all we got. As far as our news, not a whole lot happening over the weekend, of course. And anything that you heard, you can basically take it with a grain of salt. They like to put out a lot of stuff over the weekend. It gains clicks and views, but there's very little to no truth in it. So you always have to question the stuff that you hear and see. All right. This is where we get to the chart segment, and then I'm going to let you go so you can enjoy the rest of your day. All right. Here we go. This will be quick. And then we're going to head out from YouTube and go to our private so that we can help our traders put their trades in. When I show you the charts, you're going to see what's going on, but you're not going to know what we're going to do about it and how to take advantage of it, because that's what we do in the private section. If you want to participate in that, simply go to postwavetrading.com and you can sign up to participate in the private segments where we go over more information in detail on these charts and how to trade them specifically with entries and exits and all that stuff. All right, without further ado, the first chart is XRP Ripple. And you can see here that we have a crash alert for today on your XRP Ripple. It is still in the beginning stage of a bearish trend momentum reading, and that means down we go. Next is ZEC or Zcash. Now, this one has powered itself up, okay, and is trying to get back up to the $30 handle or 30-ish dollar handle. So this one is one that is watching. If you look here at this this now I'm brain tired. Now I'm having mental faculty issues. This parabolic bar, okay, is very key because it's showing you how price action likes to stay in it. Even if it dips out below it temporarily, it comes right back to the median, which is this bar, keeping the price action within it. So we'll see if now that we've expanded the range to the bottom, if it will come up here and expand the range to the top and even break out and start trending in a bull market again. Still in a bear market for now, but the bear market rally could just only be beginning. All right, next up is silver. All right. Silver is still below the Kumo cloud, as you can see here, right? And even though we had that bullish trend momentum reading because we had the rally alert coming into this, you have a situation where you're still in a bear market and the market has failed to get a bear market rally going. So we have to see this as still lower highs and the market getting ready to come down here and test that $19 to $20 price range we've been talking about. All right, so just be prepared for that moving forward. I hate being the bearer of bad news, but it is what it is. All right, then we have gold. Now, gold is still in a bull market. It has a bearish trend momentum reading, but it has a bullish algo shift, meaning that it's bucking the downdraft. It's keeping price action afloat here, and we still have the challenge to stay above 2,000 and to get back above the Kumo cloud of 2005. All right, so it has to get there and maintain that. If it does not, then it runs the risk of pulling back even more. And then the next psychological support from here is that 1900. Historically, gold has a problem and has had a problem stand above 1900, and even more of a problem stand above 2000. And this time is no different. We're seeing the same outcome here in the fact that the market's been consolidated for quite some time. All right, this is several months of consolidation. We're not trending. Okay. All right. Next is the US dollar. Now, even though it's pulling back a little bit today, that's due to the bearish algo shift here. But make no mistake, it still has a bullish trend momentum reading, and this is an official bear market rally pattern that we have emerging. Yes, it is pulled back to the top of the Kumo cloud here, but because of the bullish trend momentum reading, I think it's going to stay afloat, stay above the Kumo cloud, and I still think that 108 is still possible. We got close to it last time I called it, and I think it's going to try to get back up there again, and don't be surprised if it even explodes beyond it. All it's going to take is a story coming out of Europe, and that's all you will need for the US dollar to explode in a flight to safety, because it's still the world reserve currency, despite every attempt to make it not that. It still is right now. Um, you said, can you roll the crypto time? No, don't have that. You qualify to run for president. Now, yes, I do, right? Silver is a buying opportunity. I mean, we'll discuss that in the private section, which we're about to go to in just a second here. Here is Ethereum, still in a bull market, still has a bullish trend momentum reading, which is a locked-in bull market, and we just came off of hitting a fresh 52-week high, and so yes, all systems are still go for your Ethereum futures, and likewise for your Bitcoin futures here, new 52-week highs, locked in bull market, bullish trend momentum reading. Even with pullbacks, this one is still a buying opportunity as well. All right, so that does it for our morning show and chart segment. Now we're going to go to our private, and we're going to talk about our entry points and what we're going to do about what you just saw in the chart segment, how to take advantage of these situations. All right, so thank you for tuning in. Smash that like button. You know what it is, you know what to do. And remember, the system works if you work the system. Bulls make money, bears make money, and pigs get slaughtered. So remember to take what you can and give nothing back. And on that note, I'm out.
Awesome. One more announcement will let you know we're heading into the private section, like Dex said. This is Frank, by the way. Hello, everybody. Very excited to have new members joining us. You could check it out at pulsewavetrading.com. And it's still Pulsewave Trading, but we've released the Algo Capitalist Bullpen, which is not just an update to the reports. In fact, the reports are called the A.T.A.C reports now, but as an update to the way we run the whole schedule during the trading day, morning and evening. We're doing these shows like clockwork. We're here early. We stay late for your comments. And pretty soon, we're going to be letting you join us on air once we get used to some of the new tools. We don't want to have too many things to juggle. We want to focus on the charts and the news. But right now, we're going to go dark on our live feeds, and those who are on our website will still be there with our private webinar thingy. So feel free to throw your questions in there. And of course, we'll be around on Discord all day. Still in the Slack, but we're moving everybody over to Discord. If you have any trouble getting on the Discord, please email us. Easy to find our contact page on our site. We had some issues the other day, and I think we worked them out, but let me know and I'll get you in there. All right. Thanks, everybody. We're going to say goodbye to our public feeds and take a second to reset, and then we'll be back for your comments in the private feed.
Pay no attention to the man behind the screen. I am the wizard. I'm the Wizard of Oz.
All right, here we go. I forget which button to push now.
All of them.
All right, we're muting ourselves. We'll see you there in just a minute. We're going to let go of our public feeds.